Knon 89.3 FM in Dallas and Fort Worth, the voice of the people.
Business owners, tell KNON's listeners about your business. You can put your business or event on KNON. KNON currently has space available to run announcements for you. Tell KNON's listeners about your goods, services, nightclub, concert, or event. Help keep the voice of the people on the air while putting your information on the air. KNON's been named the #1 radio station in Dallas by both the Dallas Observer and D Magazine. Put your business with Dallas's #1 station. Call now for more information at 214-828-9500, extension 227, or extension 233. For more information, go to KNON.org and click on the Run Spots on KNON page. It's a great way for your business to support community radio while letting more people know about you.
To Lambda Weekly. I'm Dave Taffet, and I'm here in the studio with Lerone Landis. Our beloved late Patti Fink is in Austin. She should have arrived this morning to watch Aaron receive an award last night. Took you a minute, but
took me a second. I was
right,
like, wait,
right.
What are you talking about?
Aaron is winning an award from
from
Stonewall Democrats for her part in getting same-sex marriage into the Democratic platform, and
Wonderful.
Aaron was really instrumental in doing that nationwide. So she's receiving an award. Patti is there. She'll be back with us next week. Our guest today is the almost late city council person, Angela Hunt. Not late city council.
I know, that made me a little nervous.
Finished.
You know something I don't know?
Almost finished city council person.
Yes.
You've been on the council 8 years.
Yes.
And thank you for everything that you've done for us and for our community. We want to talk about a number of issues. I think it was the first time you were here, we were talking about paving the river, and that's one thing that you haven't accomplished because that river is still there.
I know. I've worked hard to get it paved, but I just can't get it done.
I know. Fracking. Need to talk about fracking because our city just doesn't shake enough, and we we need to do something.
My ideal is a paved river with fracking tanks right next to it.
That would be nice.
I think that'd be perfect.
That'd be perfect. It would be perfect. That way we can pollute the river and maybe get rid of all those people downstream.
Exactly.
Because they use that for drinking water.
That's right.
So, one thing before we get into some of those issues, with the recent bond issue that we had, a good deal of your money, the way the bond issue works is we vote in this much money and then it gets divided up 14 ways, and each city council person can dedicate a portion of it, and your portion, a good part of it, you're dedicating to Cedar Springs.
That's right. In the last few years, we have seen some fatalities on Cedar Springs, and we held a community meeting to try to address that and kind of kickstart a planning process. And that yielded some positive changes, but there are some important structural changes we need to make to Cedar Springs to make it safer for pedestrians, to ensure we don't see those types of accidents or fatalities. And that's why I thought it was so important that we go forward with bond money in this bond to make that a reality.
And the fatalities she's referring to are the accidental car hits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There were like 4 accidents within a 4-week period.
It was awful.
And 2 of them were killed, 2 of them were just injured. It shouldn't be happening.
Nope.
Shouldn't be.
But there are some interesting things that you can do, and I talked to the traffic department also, just some interesting things that slow down traffic, like trees.
Trees. That's why trees are great. They're not just attractive and clean our air, but they actually slow traffic, and it can be so positive in a pedestrian area.
The other thing is just landscaping, not just trees, but other landscaping like benches and other things along the side where people just are strolling, it tends to slow down traffic also because people are bricked crosswalks is one of those things because it might be it breaks up the streetscape.
Yes, and it's the same with trees, and it's also just an indicator that this is a pedestrian area, and the more pedestrian you make it, more inviting you make it, the more people you see walking, the less comfortable as a driver you are going fast because you understand someone could dart out in front of you. You don't want to cut through yellow lights because you don't want someone to be crossing them. So it makes everybody think a little bit more.
So there's no talks about putting an actual stoplight there, is there?
There's going to be I think a very thorough discussion about with all of the options out, because I think that's the only way we kind of determine what's best, what the community wants, what the businesses want, what the surrounding residents want, and what would work best. So I think we need to put everything on the table and then go from there.
One of the things over in Bishop Arts in Oak Cliff, put in the crosswalks, added some trees, did a little bit of landscaping. It cost about, I forgot what it was, $1 million? It
wasn't expensive.
It was less than $1 million that they spent. Added some parking. And the figuring was that in sales tax revenue, just in added sales tax revenue, the city made back the money in the first year.
Oh.
And in also extra liquor sales and everything else. But all of those taxes, extra taxes came in. City made back its money 1 year, paid for itself, and now that area, compared to when those additions were made, is twice as big. It's booming. There are additional businesses. They're all private businesses. More people are employed. And it's become an attraction. Same thing should happen again on Cedar Springs.
It really, really should. And, tangentially related to that, one thing Scott Griggs and I have been trying to do and that we're working towards is making it easier for businesses to make their area more pedestrian friendly right outside of their business. Because right now the city of Dallas has some kind of ridiculous and draconian restrictions.
Awnings.
You got to pay for awnings. Why would you make someone pay for an awning in Dallas, Texas, when you want as much shade as you can possibly get? Planters. $1,000, $1,000 if you want to put planters outside of your door.
A friend of mine.
I know, it's exactly. It's crazy.
A friend of mine who owns a store on Cedar Springs, he painted his sign over his door, and he has an awning. He already had the awning, but to take it off and put it up, he had to pay for the awning.
I mean, it's just crazy. Yeah. It's crazy. And it's that type of thing that is frustrating to people, and it's a disincentive, obviously, to make a more inviting streetscape. Because I think a lot of private business owners would pitch in and do their part if it weren't so onerous. I'd rather them spend that $1,000 on nice planters and a great awning and a tree well than sending it to bureaucrats at the city of Dallas.
So when does any of this kick in?
We're still working on the ordinance, and it's getting all the council members on board because it will have a budgetary impact, a minor budgetary impact. When you think about our $2.5 billion budget and a few $100,000 that we might lose if we don't charge people to beautify our city, unfortunately, some folks get nervous about that, and they can't see the forest for the trees, that if you beautify, like you just said, David, you end up getting that back tenfold in sales taxes because people are more likely to go to these businesses. They feel like the street is more inviting. They'll walk to it, and they'll become customers. But that's a tough argument to make.
And when does the bond money kick in? Because bonds have to still be sold. All we did was approve that we can issue these bonds.
Yes. One of the things we did is how the bonds work too is there's a 6-year horizon. And so every year we plan out, okay, how many bonds are we going to sell? Because remember, it's not like we just have a bunch of money in the bank account and we dole it out. We actually sell the bonds, get that money, and then do those projects start those projects that year. Otherwise, we're paying lots of interest on a whole bunch of money. So we've scheduled a number of projects, and I believe I'd pushed to make this one among the first that we design. and get moving on. So it should be within the next couple of years we see that the design and planning process begin.
And even though you'll be out of office in June, this money's already designated.
It is designated,
So
yeah.
we don't have to worry about it. So that's part of Angela's legacy. So, when you were here, first time you were here, so this is way back, you were new in office. We were talking about that damn park,
Yeah.
the Trinity,
Yeah.
which I love the Trinity. I've done that canoe trip down the Trinity several times. You've
It's
done that.
wonderful, yeah.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. You don't feel like you're in a city.
You
It's
get
amazing.
past downtown and you're in a forest. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's absolutely amazing, and most people think we're nuts. Anybody who talks about how beautiful the Trinity is once you pass downtown, north of downtown, it's pretty too, but it's just, you can see the buildings.
Right.
There are no trees. There's nothing there. But you get past downtown, you're in the middle of a forest. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
So we want to cut this down, pave the river, get rid of the dirty river, and make an 8-lane highway.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's the chances?
Great.
What's going on with that?
A great plan.
Yeah.
I think some folks have become a little complacent on this issue and thinking this won't happen because the road is so remarkably expensive. It's over $2 billion now, which is,
Wow.
who knows how much these roads cost, right? Well, we looked at this, and this road costs more per mile than just about any other road in the United States. It's ridiculously
But we do
expensive.
things bigger in Texas.
Yes, it's more expensive, and it is bigger too.
Is it
so.
because it's repaving a river that is so expensive?
It's because it is in a floodway, and that hasn't been tried before, and so the engineering of it costs a lot of money. And constructing something that in a location that's going to flood
Right.
every year.
Yeah.
It's
Every 10 years or so, the water comes up to the top of the levees.
Yeah.
But the water comes out over the banks just about every year. I mean, even
over the levees, or you mean?
Not over the levees, but up to the top of the levees. Once every 10 years, it rises.
It gets close,
It gets pretty
and,
high.
And it's engineering something that will withstand that hydrology costs money, and it hasn't been done before.
That
so
makes sense.
so it's expensive, and it's a waste of money. There's this Project Pegasus that fixes I-30 in the canyon.
Mm-hmm.
It fixes the horseshoe. It fixes I-30, the Stemmons, lower Stemmons, 35, and it was a TxDOT project, a great project, and Sandy Grayson, Scott Griggs, and I were looking at this over the summer, and it clearly moves, if it's built out, moves as many cars as the Trinity Toll Road would. And it does it better, and it doesn't add additional parallel freeways, which is unheard of outside of 1950s America transportation planning. So what we really need to do is move forward with Project Pegasus, invest our dollars there. It's less expensive. And it's just a smarter use of our tax dollars. Unfortunately, there is this dug-in interest in building a toll road within our levee system, and it is crazy. It is crazy.
When the road floods, or when the river floods, are they planning on closing the toll road during that time?
I don't think so. I think the hope is, as I understand it, that the walls will prevent the road from flooding. But you bring up an important point, and it's something called primacy. If this road does flood, if it were to flood, if for some reason the walls were breached, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers has to have primacy over whoever is managing the toll road to come in, shut down the road, fix the road, take out parts of the road. And that is a very challenging thing when you're talking to investors about investing in a toll road and to fund a toll road. This toll road doesn't pay for itself. Not enough cars go on it to actually fund it. That's why it doesn't make sense to do it. Mm-hmm. We're not getting federal money to help build the road. It would
Yeah,
be.
but we don't like federal money. We're
Yeah,
not taking
yeah,
federal
kick
Medicare
that money
money,
out.
Medicaid
No, no.
money,
Kick that money
none of
out.
that. Yeah.
We can do it all on our own.
Yeah. So it's a project that is unfortunately gone off the rails in the wrong direction.
And I'm just not even understanding where this is going to go. Is it still supposed to be a raised highway, or is it going to be?
It is raised. I mean, what you need to do is imagine having a picnic beside I-35. Mm-hmm. Everybody got that?
That's real pretty.
That is what this is.
That's what we're going after.
Yes, that's where I'm having lunch. I'm going to throw down my picnic blanket, get the babies, get my hubby, and we're going to have a picnic beside in the median. Yeah, beside I-35. And you can put all the lipstick on this pig you want. You can put as many watercolors out there to the public that there are going to be trees, it's going to be landscaped. That's BS. The Corps of Engineers is not going to let that happen inside the levees after Katrina. They've become very restrictive about what they allow, and it's just not going to happen. Our primary focus has got to be on flood control. You know, our levees failed the test 3 years ago. Now they're kind of changing the test, and they're okay. Wink, wink. So we really need to focus on flood control and getting the amenities down there in the park, getting people to the park.
But even if this road is raised, there are bridges. Mm-hmm. So it has to either go over that new bridge that
or under it. That's
or
right.
under
or
it.
attached to it in some way where you actually have a stop. I mean, yes.
The other place where it can't go under are the old bridges.
That's right.
The Jefferson Street Viaduct. Because
That's right.
it's little arches.
That's right.
That are maybe 1 lane wide.
That's right.
Even that. It can't go under
work.
that. So is it going to
Doesn't
go
work.
over those? And
Yeah. I mean, it's going to destroy the aesthetics of the floodway and the park. It's going to destroy it. And folks who think otherwise are kind of living in a dream world. Larry Beasley, who is an urban planner from Vancouver, he's in charge of our city design studio, which is a privately funded design studio that looks at discrete planning projects in Dallas. There's an article, I hope everyone will read it in Sunday's paper, comparing the Trinity River to, and what we're kind of working on to reconnect the river to the city. Comparing it to Medellin, Colombia, and what they've done with their river. They are actually burying the freeways that they have, they placed decades ago next to their river, their industrial sites. They're trying to bring back the river. And here we are building a toll road. Unfortunately, the article is misleading because it talks to both Larry Beasley and Laura Miller and talks about building a boulevard access road, low speed, and that's what we really need to transform this toll road into. That's just not true. That's not what's happening. Right now, the Corps of Engineers is looking at a very specific plan, Alignment 3C. It's a high-speed 8-lane toll road. That's what it is, no park access. So I don't know if...
Not only no park access, walls.
Walls,
You won't see a park.
You won't see
walls.
a park. You won't see a park. And one of the neat things, I invite everyone who is so skeptical about the fact that we could actually have a park down there, go down there. Don't talk to me about it until you've been down there. Because if you go down at Sylvan or any of these other places, the fact that we have these beautiful green levees, these little hills, 40 feet high, that makes a difference. That makes you feel like you're not really in the city anymore. It makes you feel like you're in this great green expanse of a park. You put a concrete barrier up there with the sound that you get from an 8-lane high-speed toll road. It's not going to be pleasant. It's not going to be park-like. And the folks trying to sell this know better than to try to tell people that it's going to be a low-speed road. It's not going to be, and that's just a lie. That's just not true.
It doesn't even sound like it.
No, it can't be. It can't because it can't. It's not going to pay for itself anyway with tolls because it's not enough people will ride on it because it doesn't connect anything. It doesn't connect to 30. It doesn't connect to 35. It connects 183 at 35. Take it down to 175.
And 175 is our least used highway in the city.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. Right. Why aren't we fixing 30?
Well, aside from that, we need to take a break.
Take a break.
Thanks,
Clint I usually pay attention. I'm sitting on a different side than I usually sit, so I'm not used to looking at the clock from here, I guess. We're going to take a break. You're listening to Lambda Weekly on 89.3 Knon FM. I'm Dave Taffet here in the studio with Lerone Landis. Our guest today is Councilwoman Angela Hunt. We'll be back with more right after this.
So much pain, we don't know how to be but angry.
Statistics say 1.5 million teenagers experience dating abuse every year.
Only 33% report it.
Let's break the cycle.
Love is not abuse.
If you or someone you know is experiencing teen dating abuse, get help now.
For immediate, confidential assistance, call 866-331-9474 or log on to loveisrespect.org.
You can also text LOVEIS to 77054.
To learn more about about what abuse is and the resources available to you, visit loveisnotabuse.com.
You don't have to be afraid.
Call 866-331-9474.
Store the number in your phone for future use.
866-331-9474.
Know how to get help for yourself or someone you know.
This is Sunny Boy Mark, and I'd like to take a minute here to tell you about over 60 minutes of great blues listening available now on KNON's Texas Blues Radio Volume 5 Blues CD. This is some great stuff, folks. 15 tracks from the Two Tones, Blues Boy Bo, Buddy Whittington, Andrea Dawson, Kirkland James, Sonny Colley, Johnny Red and the Roosters, the Chris Watson Band, the Rough Cut Blues Band, Jeff Stone with Charlie Love, David Millsap, Sir Loin and the Ass Kicking Machine, Michael J. and the Paul Bird Band, and JJ and the Detonators. The 1,000 copies we made are selling fast, and we won't reissue it. Get yours now at Forever Young Records in Grand Prairie, Record Town in Fort Worth, and in Dallas at Bill's Records and Rewind Music. The CD is available as a download at cdbaby.com. All proceeds benefit KNON, sponsored by Forever Young Records. Vinyl copies available at Forever Young Records only. For more info on Texas Blues Radio Volume 5, visit knon.org. Your ears been bending for some blues? Well, feed them the real thing with Texas Blues Radio Volume 5.
This is Kimberly Truex of the GLBT Wedding Expo, and you're listening to Lambda Weekly on 89.3 KNON FM.
And welcome back to Lambda Weekly. I'm Dave Taffet here in the studio with Lerone Landis. The late Patti Fink is in Austin watching Aaron get an award from Stonewall Democrats this weekend. And our guest is the almost former city councilwoman, Angela Hunt. Is that better?
No, I like that a lot better.
That's a little bit
You make
better.
me nervous, though, when you keep saying the late Patti Fink.
Not that kind
She
of
is.
late.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a meeting with her?
No.
Oh, wouldn't.
You'd understand.
You'd understand.
Not outside of DGLA stuff.
You'd understand.
Gotcha.
Aside from the roads, what we may not do with the Trinity River, as Dallas grows into a bigger and bigger metropolitan area, what is the more focus now? More highways or more railroads for DART?
Well, I think you're seeing a focus on dealing with freeways, but there's almost no transportation dollars statewide. And so it's very challenging to fund these types of transportation projects where you're either fixing or expanding roads. What we really need to focus on is making folks less dependent on cars. And that's really not enabling sprawl by building more lanes. You're never going to have enough lanes of freeway. You're never going to have enough lanes of toll roads because that's like trying to unbuckle your belt because you've eaten too much. That doesn't put you on a diet. That doesn't make you slimmer. That just expands your ability to continue eating. And it's the same with roads expansion. So I think a smarter focus would be land use and zoning to allow more density, and we've done that in uptown and downtown, and we've seen the benefits of that. In the last census, Central Dallas is really the only part of the city that grew. The city itself grew by like 9,000 people with flat, but the District 14 grew by 20,000.
Oh, wow.
Of the 17 construction cranes that were licensed or whatever in the city, I forgot when I pulled the figures, but it was sometime like late fall. Of the 17 construction cranes, 16 were in Oak Lawn and Uptown.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what we need to focus on, and the use of streetcars and the use of light rail. I think we can do a better job with light rail. I think we can do a better job in developing streetcars. We want to see a circulator in downtown Dallas so that people don't have to be in their cars to get from the Nasher to the West End, to the convention center, over to the farmer's market. So what we have to do to make that happen is create a trolley system. And we can start out with a wheeled trolley system. I used to be against that, but now I think that's the smartest thing for us to do. It will let us kind of try out a system, but it has to be branded. It has to be free.
And the new streetcar that's being built, it also gets built really quickly.
Yes, streetcars are relatively cheap and quickly built when you compare it to light rail.
And for anybody who doesn't know where it is, it's going to start at Union Station in the street, going over the Houston Street Viaduct, and go. How far is it going to go?
It's
all
going
the way
to
to Bishop Arts?
To Methodist. No, it's
Just
not going to go all the way
okay.
to all the way to Bishop Arts. But the goal is to get it there and to get it farther into downtown as well.
Mm-hmm. And that would be. I mean, that could be the beginning of the circular.
Absolutely, and it will make a big difference in downtown.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned the Nasher. Mm-hmm. And I forgot to mention this to you, and I forgot this is your district. Okay, so there's this tower that's destroying the Nasher.
Mm-hmm. The Eye of Sauron, I've heard it called.
Does that kind of say which side of this I'm on? Here's my solution to, and what it's doing for anybody who doesn't know, this tower was built. Now, lots of towers have been built in downtown Dallas, but this one in particular is reflecting
The reflectivity
terribly.
is significant.
The only other place, and it's reflecting onto the Nasher Sculpture Garden, the only other place where we have buildings like this is Campbell Center. We have those gold buildings that also reflect into North Park. Why do people hate the Nashers? Because the Nashers also own North Park and insist on reflecting on their properties. It's only them that people are doing this to.
They're trying to illuminate the Nasher.
I guess. It's destroying some of the artwork here. Here's my solution to it. The Nashers should put in an installation, an art installation, that happens to be made of mirrors that reflects onto that. It reflects all that light back onto the tower. And they just say,
hilarious.
Gee, the artist insisted that it has to be pointed in this direction only, or it ruins the art.
And it's a concave mirror, so it amplifies
concave mirror
the light.
that not one, but a whole series on the roof that reflects all the light back to them. It's their light. They're welcome to it.
I'm going to take that back. I think that's a fabulous idea. I'll set the parties down and I'll talk to them about that.
I think
we'll
that's
make that
the
happen,
solution.
David.
Yeah,
Please do.
I will pitch that.
And if that damn tower happens to be set on fire from these, I'm sorry, but it's an art installation. And when you put up your tower, you knew there was an art museum here.
Yeah.
That's my solution.
Yeah, they got to be good neighbors.
Are these two sides even talking to each other right now?
I don't think so. And it's really frustrating. I'm hopeful that the pension fund, the Dallas Police and Fire Pension Fund, which owns the museum tower, that they're going to come to the table. The council doesn't have, although we have 3 seats on that board, we don't get to tell them what to do. And if we could tell them what to do, what I would suggest is come back to the table and come with an open mind and I think some of the proposals are reasonable about some of the shutters that they've talked about. Mm-hmm. I just saw a building that's going to be going up in Uptown in the next 2 years, and they're sensitive to light reflectivity because it's a problem. It is a problem for neighbors, and it's something folks have to deal with. And they did these I didn't realize it was for this, but these really lovely architecturally attractive, not shutters, but they're kind of just little ledges that
kind of louvers.
They're kind of like louvers, but they're not. They don't move. Mm-hmm. They're on the building in such a way to reduce the reflectivity onto the neighbors next door. And I thought that was a really neat way to do it, because you don't look at it and think, oh, that's just something slapped on the building. You see it as part of the architecture, and it's very attractive.
Right. And for anybody who doesn't know, this is part of why I love the Nasher. When Ray Nasher gave this museum to the city, he also endowed the museum with $70 million so that it wouldn't cost the city a penny.
Yeah, the city of Dallas and taxpayers don't pay for the Nasher. And it is a magnificent museum. It is really amazing. And
I hate to call a museum unique, but this one is. It's the first sculpture garden and sculpture museum that also has an educational and a component that fixes other people's artwork. So they're also making money by restoring other sculpture work from elsewhere. I mean,
that's amazing. I mean, it really is. We're so fortunate to have that, and we're so really so fortunate to have North Park Center. I hope that people appreciate how amazing that mall is. It's one of the most profitable malls in America, and it also has sculpture that you don't find in other malls. It's absolutely incredible. It gives people an
That's
up
how he
close
started his
experience
collection.
with artwork.
He started his collection because he wanted to do some public displays of artwork
And for his wife.
And right.
Yeah, right. And I think that's just an amazing legacy for him to have left. I want to make a quick plug for the other museum next door to that, the Dallas Museum of Art. I want to remind everyone that admission is free, membership is free. Dr. Maxwell, who is the curator there, has just done a phenomenal job in making this a truly public museum. And it is highly unusual, and I applaud him for that. I applaud the museum because that's what our museum should be. They should be invited. They should give us an opportunity to come up close to art without having to,
How
pay
did the
for it.
museum afford to do that?
I believe that they're working with businesses and their financial supporters to kind of make up any loss. But it's kind of the same thing with DART. I don't know the numbers at the museum, but if you look at DART, I would love to see DART be free all over.
Oh, I would too, because I take it every day.
Well, I think, don't you think though that many more people would ride it?
Oh, I know they would.
And that's what we want. At the end of the day, I think we get more of what we want by having people ride DART than not. Cleaner air, more people out of their cars, etc. And I don't think they get a huge portion of their funding from ridership fees. And so I think if more organizations could kind of analyze that and figure out where's the greatest benefit, and the DMA did, and they said it's more important for us to truly be public and be a museum for everyone than make the admission fees.
I bet in the long run they're
fees.
going to end up with more paid memberships.
I think you're absolutely right. And they're making it fun with kind of a Foursquare-esque app, and you get bonuses if you go to different things. But I just think it's tremendous. Love it.
Yeah. Okay, so one of the big issues that you've been promoting is fracking. I know you want us to drill so that we have so that we have as much oil as we can get.
That's right.
Just right out of our own ground here in Dallas.
Right.
How's that going for you?
Well, Scott Griggs and I have as well as Sandy Grayson and Carolyn Davis, have been vocally opposed to fracking in Dallas. There are a lot of unknowns about urban fracking, and certainly we want the opportunity to access natural gas in America, but we have to be really smart about it, and we can't damage our neighborhoods or communities, our air or our water in the process. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, we're paving the river, so we're getting rid of the water.
Yeah, I guess so. So who cares, right? Yeah, that's one way of looking at it. But right now, we're in a situation where the City Plan Commission has denied 3 permits to a gas drilling company that wants to drill on public lands. That gas drilling company, Trinity East, had given funds to the city of Dallas back in 2008 for the opportunity to drill, and it knew then, as it knows now, that it had to go through this very public process, and that it was possible that the answer would be no. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a permitting process.
So it's not a guarantee just because you give the funds.
It's not a guarantee, and I've read the lease, and I read the lease amendment, and it's very clear. And one thing I would note is these zoning cases are on parkland and in the floodplain. They're a stone's throw from the Trinity River. At the Luna Golf Course. And so the idea that...
The Luna Golf Course itself floods.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And we visited a couple of years ago some fracking sites, and I don't feel comfortable having those types of chemicals in our floodplain where it does flood and it can contaminate our Trinity River. It's so close to it. But the bottom line is there are too many unknowns, and I think there are too many risks from what we've seen. And the City Plan Commission denied those. The next step is for that to come before the City Council, and we'll vote on it. And it would take a supermajority, 12 votes, to overturn the Plan Commission. So it only takes 4 to continue blocking these gas drilling permits. And I can tell you the tactic that I believe that gas drilling proponents are taking is to be very frank, I think they're waiting me out. I think they're hoping that Scott...
Yeah, he'll be gone soon.
I think they're hoping that Scott would lose his election as well, and
they can buy off
Delia Hasso, and and Sandy would stay strong, but I think they want to get someone in my seat. I think they're throwing as much money at one of the candidates in my race to try to ensure that he's in that seat so that they can have a straight shot to gas drilling, and that's that. That's just the fact of it.
With gas drilling, though, let's say it floods, one of the advantages would be when you turn on your tap, you can light a match and your water would go on.
Yeah, you can just fill up your gas water heater with water.
From the tap.
Yeah, from the tap, and strike a match and you're done.
So isn't that...
That's a great point. You've given me so many good ideas, David.
Thank you. I have another one. You know which park they should be drilling in?
Which one?
Because there's not only... shale that they can turn into gas. There's actual gas under that park, and that's the deck park.
Oh, I love the deck park. I know we talked about it a little bit, but I absolutely love the deck park. I'm not a sentimental person, but the first 3 times I went to the deck park, literally had tears in my eyes because of the diversity of people that were at the park. And it touched me because you don't see that at other places in Dallas. Dallas is... a very racially segregated city and very economically segregated city, and to see this mixture of young and old and people from all walks of life, it's very meaningful, and it's very unique in Dallas.
It's just a very pretty park.
It's a neat park, and I just like, I like that it's a programmed park. We haven't done that before, and it's modeled on Bryant Park, and it's also a project that I've gotten to see from start to finish and had a small hand in, and that's neat too, because there's so many ribbon cuttings I go to. I didn't, back when I started, I had nothing to do with the project, and there are things that I'm working on now that I won't see come to fruition, but this I've gotten to see from start to finish.
And we could be doing one more thing in that park. Fracking.
We could be doing fracking. Great idea. Again, good ideas, all.
Gas underneath there.
Gas.
And it's a steady flow of gas.
It is a steady flow of gas.
So, okay, so I have a question about underneath the deck park. Woodall Rogers always used to move. Traffic just flowed. Okay, so they started construction, and obviously during construction, traffic slowed down. After they put the deck on and the road is there again, it's the exact same road. The lanes were not narrowed at all. They didn't put in hills or anything. It's flat there underneath the deck park. Why is traffic so terrible now? All of a sudden, traffic just doesn't move under there.
I don't know.
It used to always just flow.
I haven't noticed that, but I live close in town, and I try to stay off the freeways when I can. So I don't know.
And it's not.
And I got a new bike. Oh, I love my new bike.
Oh, what kind of bike?
Very excited. A Trek FX 7.2.
Yep.
And I got my husband a new bike, and I love it.
I haven't gotten my bike out yet, but I need to get my butt on my bike and start going.
It's fun.
Lone Star rides.
It's so much fun. I love it.
And this is great bike weather.
It is.
And we need to talk about bike lanes also.
Yeah.
We'll do that right after the break. Yeah, let's take.
Okay.
Yeah, it's time for our break. Even though Clint didn't have to do that to me this time.
You were watching.
You're listening to Lambda Weekly on 89.3 Knon FM. I'm Dave Taffet here in the studio with Lerone Landis. Our guest today is Angela Hunt, City Council person for the last 74 years.
Yes, 75.
And we'll be back right after this.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for the glorious return of the greatest Russian rock and roll band in the universe? Coming Saturday, April 13th, Igor and the Red Elvises are coming to the Sons of Herman Hall. Don't miss out on a night of unheralded rock and roll fun and dancing madness. Bear witness to the happy masses shaking it to the rhythm. Get your tickets now at knon.org, Bill's Records, or Forever Young in Grand Prairie. There'll be a free barbecue from the Alligator Cafe. Don't miss this, or you'll forever be trying to make up for the lost fun. Igor and Red Elvises at the Sons of Herman Hall in Dallas, Saturday, April 13th. Doors open at 8 p.m. for all ages. A free barbecue from the Alligator Cafe. The Red Elvises played 2 sets, all Red Elvises all night long. This Weird Warren from KNON's own Sonic Burrito Show, and I'll be your master of ceremonies. The Sons of Herman Hall, located at 3414 Elm Street. This is a KNON benefit event.
Is your child overweight? 35% of children in North Texas are overweight or obese. Did you know that childhood obesity can be a precursor to long-term physical and psychological problems affecting health into adulthood? There are ways you can help your child avoid these issues. The Dallas Area Coalition to Prevent Childhood Obesity promotes healthy lifestyles through physical activity and nutrition. For more information, call 214-944-4212 or the Community Council of Greater Dallas's website at ccgd.org and click on their health page to find out how to help the kids in your life.
This is a random person, and I don't listen to Lambda Weekly on 89.3 KNON FM Dallas.
And welcome back to Lambda Weekly. I'm Dave Taffet here in the studio with Lerone Landis. Our guest is Angela Hunt, but Lerone has our entertainment report.
All right.
And Clint has some new background music for us.
Yeah, I kind of like that, Clint. That boys. Okay. The world of movies and fan of movies lost a great this week as Roger Ebert dies 2 days after revealing his cancer had returned to his body. Now, the star of the movie review show Siskel and Ebert at the Movies coined the thumbs up and down term for bad or good movies. Some of his favorite movies happen to be GLBT films that included Weekend, Torch Song Trilogy, and Brokeback Mountain. He also became the first film critic to win a Pulitzer Prize at 1975, and he wrote a couple of years ago a long article about his support for marriage equality. So definitely a fan of our community. One of the biggest, if not the biggest, GLBT ally has in the NFL was cut this week from his team. The Baltimore Ravens released Brendan Ayubandejo as his contract ended and was not renewed. Now, at first, it was kind of insinuated that they let him go because of all his support for marriage equality, but both he and a team spokesman have come out and said that is absolutely not true. They let him go for football reasons, so that's nice to hear.
And did you hear the thing that he's negotiating?
I hadn't heard what he's negotiating, but he also said that
this is what it is.
Four current active NFL players are in discussions to come out together at the same time,
all at once. So that
that's awesome.
So that not one of them will, the spotlight won't be on one of them and put the pressure.
Smart.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Good.
we'll see what happens with that. Now, if you've not seen the video, please go check it out. The interview of NBA legend Magic Johnson, whose son recently came out. I think it's on TMZ.com. It's just a great interview. Magic Johnson and his wife Cookie say they are 100% supportive and love their son.
They said they knew when he was a little kid.
Yeah, that's the great thing about it. His son didn't come out to his parents. They sat him down and asked him, look, we just want to know. It's not going to make a difference. We still love you, but for your own protection, we just want to know. And that's how they found out that in fact, he was gay. In the end, Magic said that EJ, that's his son's name, is still his main man and that he loves him. I mean, I think that's just great.
That's nice. That's great.
And the other thing was the picture that they showed was Magic and his wife going out with the son and his boyfriend.
Yes.
That's great.
Yes. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, and last, Ellen DeGeneres revealed a pleasant surprise this week on her show. She will revive her character as Dory in the 2003 animated hit movie film Finding Nemo, as it was confirmed. The new movie is going to be called Finding Dory. In an official statement released by Disney, Ellen said, "I'm not mad it took this long. I know people at Pixar were busy creating Toy Story 16. Now, my daughter is just thrilled about this. So,
well, good.
Yeah, but I don't think it comes out to 2015, so we'll see.
Speaking of your daughter, Lerone got married. He and Danny got married up in
Vancouver.
Nice.
So I know about it.
Right, and they did that before they had a child because they wanted to make sure she was legitimate.
Yes.
So because
we don't want any bastards.
Okay, so has his marriage and
I love it. How old is your daughter? How old is
she?
She
just turned 4.
Oh my goodness! I've got a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old.
Oh wow!
Little girls.
Yeah.
Oh, 2 toddlers.
That's crazy.
Yes.
Right, they were talking about having another one until the first one started growing up
and talking.
and talking.
Yes.
Like, okay, we need the whole
Enough's
dog.
enough.
Yes, this is a little person. Like, what?
So has Lerone's, and also, you represent District 14, one of the heaviest gay districts in the city. Has that ruined your marriage?
It has. We've really struggled, especially when close friends of ours tell us that, lesbian friends, gay friends say they're getting married. We just fight constantly, and it's destroyed it.
It's tough.
It's destroyed the sanctity of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has.
Well, I'll give you a call next week and tell you
We're
that
working through
me and
it.
Danny are on the rocks, and then that way you can have a good week with your
Thank you
husband.
very much. Thank you.
One of the things that you've worked real hard for is to get bike lanes put in.
Yeah.
The bike trails are great, but you have to have the right of way, and it's as expensive as building a highway, basically.
Not that expensive, but it is expensive. It's not cheap.
Yeah.
It's not cheap. One of the things we have in Dallas in great abundance is street right of way. Many of our streets are actually overbuilt for the amount of traffic they carry, and so it gives us the opportunity to reclaim some of that room for other forms of transportation, whether it's wider sidewalks, like we've done in Lower Greenville. We widened the sidewalks, made it more pedestrian friendly with a lot of the amenities we talked about earlier, or with bike lanes. And I'm a real proponent of separated bike lanes because, and when I say physically separated, I mean with bollards or a curb or something, because we've seen, there have been study after study, and you look around the world, women in particular ride bikes more frequently if there are cycle tracks. And that's what these are called, or separated facilities, separated bike lanes. And we really will see a great increase, I believe, in bike traffic if we have some type of bicycle facility that people interpret as safe. And right now,
there's one that I hate that just went in.
What is it?
It's downtown. It's right near the arena. It's from Woodall Rogers going up to the back side of the arena. And is that Houston Street? I think it's Houston Street. And the bike
the
lane...
Sharrow? It's ridiculous. It's just a Sharrow.
It's a share, yeah.
A shared lane marking.
Yes, and
I hate those.
It's the middle lane.
Well, because it's not a bike lane, David.
Yeah,
it's a shared lane marking.
Angela. I don't like those.
It's ridiculous. Well, the idea, and Keith Manoy is a fantastic guy, and he's he works at the city, and he's kind of been in charge of this program, and he really is doing all that he can on this, but I absolutely disagree with the philosophy that we just want to get people used to people that there may be bikes on the road. Well, if there are no additional riders because of this paint on the road, you're not accomplishing anything.
Right.
You're not going to see. And I asked them, we had a briefing on the bike plan on Wednesday, and I asked staff, I said, look, you need to be doing metrics. You need to have a baseline, and then you need to figure out a year from now, are any more people riding these shared lanes? They're not going to. I don't, and I'm a bicycle rider. I would just ride with traffic rather than a shared lane.
Right. And stay in the right-hand lane.
Yeah, and stay in the right-hand lane.
Yeah,
exactly. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense.
You talked about the gentleman's name escapes me, but the city planner
Keith Manoy,
coordinator, and how his work on Vancouver. City has more bike lanes than I've ever seen in any city. And I mean, there's bikes everywhere around the city. And another great thing about it is, if you don't have a bike, there's like every 2 or 3 blocks, there's a stand where you can rent a bike.
Right, and the city of Dallas is looking at doing something like that as well.
That would be great here.
But I think we need to make connections in our city. One of the things we have, again, in abundance is some really neat venues and sites and places to go. Again, the Arts District, Clyde Warren Park. We have the Convention Center. We have the Farmers Market, Main Street, Retail District. That's just in downtown. And then, of course, you have the Katy Trail, Mockingbird Station, Uptown, all of these neat places to go. The zoo. I could go on and on. Arboretum, all the Audubon Center. Why aren't we connecting those by trails and by on-street facilities?
Right.
Because where you can, and we talked a little bit again about this on Wednesday, but there's not this real political will. If we had more bike riders on the council, I think we would see this. But if you don't ride a bike, you don't get how enjoyable it is and how important it is to have that option to get out of your car.
Going back to Oak Cliff, Sunday morning, they put in a whole bunch of bike racks in Bishop Arts. And there's one, you can't get bike parking in front of Oddfellows on Sunday morning because
because it's overwhelmed.
Everybody
That's
rides
fantastic.
their bikes there.
Yeah.
To go get a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
It is. It's amazing, and it brings people out. It's a fun atmosphere, but we've got to make those on-street connections that are safe and that people feel safe riding on.
Right. There's
another benefit of having a lot of bikes is to make the city healthier.
Absolutely. We're a heavy city.
Yeah. We're always on the fattest list.
Yeah, we're on a.
He never lost his weight after having a baby.
Your baby weight. I understand. But it's a health issue. It's an air quality issue. It's a quality of life issue. It's a fun issue. And it's a youth issue. So I think there are so many reasons for us to make it a priority.
You had talked about. I heard you on the radio talking about a new bike lane that would connect. I forgot where with the Katy Trail.
Well, we've got the Jefferson Viaduct, which Scott Griggs was successful in making our first cycle track in the city of Dallas. And it has bollards up, and so it's, double the size of this, and it has space for bikes to travel both ways. And it's already being used. It's really neat to see people on it. But once you get to the end of it, it kind of just peters out. And my suggestion to city staff was, why don't we connect that up to the west end? You just go all the way down Market Street, and you keep that left-hand lane, and you would take out maybe 13 spaces that are parking spaces that are sparsely used, metered spaces, and it would be a great. Again, let's build connections. Let's not just do little one-offs here and there. That's never going to generate the type of bike ridership that we want to see.
Right. We used to have these bike trails with signs at the end of the street. Bike trail,
bike route
135.
Yes.
Make a right.
Oh, it was nuts.
And you'd go to the end of that street, and that's the end of the bike trail. Where does it go?
We took out all of those. We took out all of those, and I was proud to have been chair of the bicycle planning committee that oversaw the revamp of our bike plan. The plan is good. I think there are a lot of positive things in it, but if we don't implement it, it's only as good as the implementation.
Right. But it is getting better. Fort Worth Avenue also has a bike lane now, dedicated bike lane. Instead of, and that's a perfect example of a street that was just not being used much.
Yeah.
What about the farmers market? I have a suggestion for the farmers market.
Is it as good as your previous suggestions?
Yeah, I think we should frack there.
You sure do like fracking a lot.
I love it. Some of the reasons, some of the other good things for fracking in the park, drilling equipment, once it's finished being used for drilling, makes good jungle gyms.
I hadn't even thought of that.
I didn't think you.
Well done.
And the other thing is, corporations are people, and I don't want you to forget that. So Exxon has rights too.
Yeah, Citizens United, right?
That's right.
Hey, you can roast your vegetables there.
You know how my house is like cut right into the back of the cliff. My driveway is about 30 feet above my backyard.
Oh.
And the house is just cut right into the limestone, so the pad is right there. We're thinking of moving, and this way, with the earthquakes that the fracking causes, we can take the house with us.
Love it.
There you go.
Love it. So, Stick it on a U-Haul.
Yeah, exactly.
You're done.
Yep. So,
it sounds like Green Acres.
Farmers market, though, is something that, I remember back in the 80s, it really was a great place where, you'd get 3 oranges in the supermarket, but you'd get a bag of them for the same price at the farmer's market. Now the farmer's market's more expensive than going to the supermarket. What are some of the plans for that? One thing that does work down there's wonderful plant stores down there. And those work, people go to them, but the fruit part of it,
not so much. The farmers market has been a challenge for the city to deal with, and I'm so excited that just in the last couple of months we have cemented plans to privatize the farmers market, and there will still be relationship with the city, but it is really important to have a nonprofit overseeing that, in charge of it, and able to make decisions that impact the market at a quick pace, and not have the kind of bureaucracy or the I think lack of knowledge that we've seen in the management of our market. You look at other markets across the country that are successful. Seattle comes to mind, and they typically have a very different organizational structure than what we've had in Dallas. So we're privatizing it. We're going to see some retail. We're going to see some residential project on there as well, and a real revamping of the market. And it's going to be more of a focus on the farmers and making sure that it's local produce, and that it is, you're not just buying the exact same thing you could get at the grocery store. I mean, that's the thing. You want fresh, you want organic, you want something that has a greater flavor to it than you could get by just walking in a grocery store.
And great price was the other part of it.
And good pricing, yeah. But even then, I think people would pay a premium if there is a noticeable, discernible difference in the flavor of the fruit or vegetables, and we just don't have that now.
But then you're talking about great price compared to the same thing that you would get in the supermarket. If you're talking about a higher quality, you are paying that premium price.
Yeah, exactly.
In the supermarket.
And we want to see that be a very successful market. I think it can, but I also very strongly support the markets that we've seen kind of crop up around town, and I think the city has unfortunately made some decisions that have negatively impacted those markets. Some restrictions on them that haven't been helpful.
So the one thing, we're almost out of time. Your term is up in June.
Yes.
Goodbye and good riddance, or what?
I can't tell you how much I've loved the last 8 years. I mean, I really have. It's been interesting and challenging and fun. And I love public service. I plan to continue being a commercial litigator. I miss litigating, honestly. I enjoy that, and I'm going to go back to doing that. But I also love public service. It really kind of is in my blood now, and so if an opportunity arises, I'll certainly consider it.
Governor.
Yes, I want to announce now I am running for governor. I forgot. Thank you. Thanks for the reminder.
She announced it on our show.
Yes.
So
you're the first to hear.
Thought so. See, I told you when we have public officials on, we push them, and eventually one of them will make a big announcement on our show.
Man, you got me.
So Angela Hunt for governor, and you heard it here first. And that brings us, it does, to the end of, I can't see that clock from where I'm sitting. I can see that clock. That brings us to the end of another show. Angela, thanks for being with us.
It's been a
Come on
pleasure
again
talking
after,
with you guys. I'd love to.
After you're out of office and you start your campaign for governor.
If you can bring the show to my couch, we'll do it.
Yeah, okay.
That's where I'm going to be. For
Is that a problem, Clint? No problem at all.
With the 1 and 3 year old.
That's exactly right.
Perfect. And we'll be back next week with more Lambda Weekly. Patti will be back with us, and we'll see you then.
KNON 89.3 FM in Dallas and Fort Worth, the voice of the people.
Business owners, tell KNON's listeners about your business. You can put your business or event on KNON. KNON currently has space available to run announcements for you. Tell KNON's listeners about your goods, services, nightclub, concert, or event. Help keep the voice of the people on the air while putting your information on the air. KNON's been named the #1 radio station in Dallas by both the Dallas Observer and D Magazine. Put your business with Dallas's #1 station. Call now for more information at 214-828-9500, extension 227, or extension 233. For more information, go to KNON.org and click on the Run Spots on KNON page. It's a great way for your business to support community radio while letting more people know about you.